What is going on, everybody, and welcome back to the World War History Bar. Hope you're having a great day. In today's video, we will continue our look at the Axis leaders' childhoods and rise to powers with Adolf Hitler, the most infamous of the three. If you do enjoy the video, drop a like and subscribe. Turn on post notifications so you do not miss another upload. If you have any questions, comments, put them in the comment section below. With that said, enjoy the video.
So, Adolf Hitler was born on April 20th, 1889 in Braunau in Austria. His father, Alois Hitler, was a civil servant, and his mother, Clara, was his niece, fun fact. So Alois was very abusive. He came home drunk or angry a lot, and he beat Adolf a lot. People claim that that abuse was kind of a little bit of an inspiration for how he is as a person, I guess.
Well, it impacted his character.
Clara, by contrast, was very loving of him. Spoiled him a lot, like a typical mother would.
Well, more than most mothers, because Clara had 6 kids, and Adolf Hitler was one of the 2 or 3 who survived infancy.
There you go. He was introduced to what was called the Aryan supremacy theory. So basically, blonde hair, blue-eyed, superior race over everybody else.
Germans, Austrians, people who originally inhabited the land are superior to any other race, such as Poles, Czechs, Slavs, Bolsheviks.
Yeah, very early on in his childhood.
Yeah, and he would carry this with him for the rest of his life. So
when he was 11 years old, he moved with his family to Linz. And then his brother Edmund Hitler, fun fact, he had a brother. He died
very soon after,
and it really hurt him inside. He struggled to make friends, very introverted, I guess that's the word.
He was very socially awkward, and he would be that way for the rest of his life.
He usually was seen lying on the walls of the cemetery where Edmund was buried, and talking to nobody. Maybe his brother in spirit.
That's what a lot of historians believe, was he was talking to his brother.
He wanted to become an artist, so he tried to become an artist, and his father was pissed at him because he wanted Adolf to be a civil servant and or a lawyer, serve the public people. He also wasn't doing too good in school at this point. He did skip his final exam, and it, pissed his dad off again. He couldn't abuse him this time because he was too old, and he died on January 3rd, 1903. And since there was no one else to really carry it, Adolf became the man of the house. And then he would eventually leave. When his dad died, he had some form of a fortune, so he took the money and he moved to Vienna to become an artist.
And this time of his life in Vienna would be a very impactful part of his life. So when he moved to Vienna, he moved there with his friend August Kubitschek. And he, as I said, he had a ton of money from his family, from his father that is, and he would actually have family members from around the country who would send him money. So he had a good amount of money. So he lived in an apartment. They would go to the opera. He would also go to the bars and restaurants at night. He was living the high life, honestly. That sounds like a dream life. A good apartment, being able to go out to town and do whatever you want. It was amazing for him, but that would be short-lived because Hitler would apply for the Academy of Fine Arts in Vienna because obviously he wanted to be an artist. And that was his main goal from the get-go when he went to Vienna. He would go into this very arrogant. He's like, oh, I'm going to easily get this. There's no problem. I'm a very good artist. And I mean, to be fair, his paintings were kind of good. I'll pop a couple up on the screen right now so you can see them. They're pretty decent, better than anything I could do. But here's what happens. So he goes in, does the entrance exam. The writing part, he passes with flying colors. But when he turns in some of his drawings and water paintings, it goes way worse than before. So the Academy notes, his drawings were unsatisfactory. Nothing special about them. A lot of people have been doing them, but also kind of times were kind of bad for Hitler because at this time, the idea of what was good art was changing.
He wasn't, I guess, adapting to the times, I guess is the word, the right phrase for it. I mean, if you go into something thinking that it's something that everybody else has done before, that's when you have to realize, well, maybe I should be doing something different. To Hitler, he thought he was doing good, and to be fair, his art was not that bad. The issue for the Academy at that point was literally it wasn't really original or it wasn't really interesting, so they rejected him basically.
Well, another of the things that they commented on was that the drawings of the people and animals that he had, if he did have them, because some of his pictures were just buildings, they weren't very good at all. So with that, they rejected him, and this was a complete bolt from the blue. He never expected this to happen. He was dumbstruck by the fact that he was rejected, and he would try to apply again, and he would again be rejected for pretty much the same reasons. And at this time, this is where people believe around this time is when he really started to form his anti-Semitic views. And so some of the professors at the school were Jewish, and he started to believe that they had kind of ganged up against him to ensure that he wouldn't make it in. But that was his views. He had a lot of crazy views. And to make matters worse, soon after, in 1907, he would get a letter from his family doctor saying that his mother, Clara, was dying. So he rushes home to be with her for her last days. And according to the family doctor of theirs, who was Jewish, his name was Edward Block, I had never seen anyone so overcome with grief as I had with Adolf and his mother. Going back to the fact we said that he had such a close bond with his mother, it hurt him badly. Unfortunately, she would die on the 21st of December 1907 from breast cancer. And after this, Hitler would return to Vienna, and he, at this time, had pretty much used up all the money it had. The money that his father spent years and years and years to make, he spent in less than a year and a half. And after his mother died, his motivation to do anything was just gone. He had no motivation to get a job, no motivation to make money. So with that, he was evicted from his apartment, and he was forced to live on the streets of Vienna, from bench to bench, from homeless shelter to homeless shelter. This was the lowest of the low for Adolf, and this is where he really began to form his thoughts. According to Kubitschek, though, he believes that Hitler had been a devout anti-Semite since before they moved from Linz. But according to some historians, including Brigitte Hamann, he believes that Hitler really began to become an anti-Semitic believer while in Vienna, from the school, the art school, and also from a couple of the people he followed and listened to, including the populist Karl Lueger and Georg Ritter von Schorner. He really started to form his thoughts and that stuff, but he didn't really try to do anything to make money. I mean, the only thing he really did was, he would do little paintings and then he would try to sell them. And ironically, there were some Jewish people who were helping him to sell his paintings, yet he still had these views. And it got so bad, he actually spent Christmas that year in a homeless shelter.
So after, Hitler's down on his luck, he's not doing good. An event called, the First World War came into the picture, and he thought he could turn his life around by enlisting in the army. So he enlisted in the Austrian army, but he was pretty much rejected for being too weak or too skinny to fight. But he wasn't done, so he moved from Vienna to Munich and applied for the German army, and they let him in. So he joined the 16th Bavaria Infantry Reserve Regiment, and he was a runner. He would spend 4 years in the war. He was promoted from private to corporal at one point, and he received both the Iron Cross and a Black Wound badge. Ended the war kind of in a gruesome fashion. his regiment was attacked with gas, and he was wounded by an artillery shell hitting his runner bunker dugout. He was admitted to a field hospital in
Dietz, on the outskirts of Berlin.
Blinded by gas, or at least that's what officially is written. So, turns out he was kind of suffering a little bit from delusions, and he ended up being partially blinded, literally, by hysteria.
Yeah. The reason they found this out, sorry to interrupt you, but they found this out because with being blinded by gas, they had found that during this time, if you would be blind for maybe a couple days to maybe a week, but it had been more than a week and a half, 2 weeks, and he was still blind. So that's how they found out it's not blindness from gas, it was actually hysterical blindness.
When a psychologist discovered this and cured him.
Yeah, so the way this was the type of cure, give him a purpose in life, show him that he is here for a reason. So they said, you're a divine human being, you were sent to Earth to help Germany to grow and to rise to prominence. Literally, Hitler would use this as a reasoning for why certain things happened to him later in life, and it all happened because it all started back when he was a soldier in World War I, which is very interesting.
Germany surrendered, he literally got blind again when he heard about Germany surrender. He would stay in the army, or he would be appointed
a Verbindungsmann, or an intelligence agent.
He was assigned to help influence other soldiers, basically like morale booster, make people happy so they can go fight.
And along with that, he would also be assigned to infiltrate certain radical parties' meetings to try to find out what they're talking about and report it back to his current commanding officer, so they could help the government find those parties who are trying to cause problems and deal with them before anything happens. And one, which he was assigned to, was the German Workers' Party. And on the 12th of September, 1919, he was sent to one of their meetings in the Brown House, which was a very famous beer hall in Munich. And his original goal was just to go there, listen to him, and report back. But as he was sitting there listening to him, he was realizing that a lot of the stuff they were saying, he was actually agreeing with. A defining moment at this point was he was sitting there listening to him, and he heard a couple of Germans saying stuff like, we want to have Bavaria separate from the German Republic and form its own country. This enraged Hitler. He stood up, pounded his fist, and started to go off. He started talking about how Germany is a sleeping child and that we need to come together with everyone in Germany to help bring Germany back to prominence. And if we can, Germany is a very powerful entity, and if we can do everything right, we can make Germany the most powerful country in the world. His speech was so powerful, everybody was hanging on every single word. And by the end, yes, he had a standing ovation by the end, and he impressed them so much that the current party leader, Anton Drexler, who had become very close with Hitler, came up to him, gave him a pamphlet which talked about everything that they had, all their views and all their things, and asked him, do you want to join the party? And Hitler would end up joining the German Workers' Party as the 55th member. But fun fact, they had actually said that he was the 555th member. They kind of beefed up the numbers to look like they actually had a bigger group than they actually did. Yeah, if you guys did enjoy part 1, definitely drop a like and subscribe. Obviously turn on post notifications because we will be putting up part 2 very soon.
Subscribe.
Yes. And with that said, we will talk to you guys next time here at the World War History Bar. Peace.